I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down. All around this empty town, we're searching for the lost and found.
Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today to start a new reading vlog. Very excited about this one. It's nothing super crazy, but something that I've been looking forward to just because I want to start prioritizing again my book of the month books that I have on my shelves that I just have not been getting to as much as I want to. I have thankfully read most of my book of the month books, but I've had a lot of these for several years now. I don't get book of the month every single month, and so the ones that I have been getting over the past several months, I just have not read them. So I've got 3 thrillers that I'm very excited to jump into for this reading vlog. No idea what any of them are about, but I've heard good things. I have read from one of these authors before, and I really have ambitious goals to beat the book of the month reading challenge for this year on the app. And if you do, you get a hat that says reading is sexy, and I kind of really want that. I have no idea if that goal is plausible or not for me at this point in November. It's only November 4th, but I have to read like 7 book of the month books, I think, in order to get that, and they have to fit certain criteria for other badges that you can earn. So not sure how far these 3 books will get me in that challenge, but I'm hoping to at least get a little bit of an advantage with this vlog, and then hopefully I just have a couple more books that I need to read to get that challenge beat, hopefully by the end of this month. So I've got some really big plans, and we will see how it all shakes out. But I've got 3 thrillers sitting right here in front of me. None of them are super long. All of them I have the audiobooks for as well, because I've been such a big audiobook person over the last couple of months, just because, well, 1, I love audiobooks. 2, I just am able to multitask so well while listening to an audiobook. So I've got the audios for all 3 of these from my library that I will probably be utilizing. Let's jump into this list really fast. Again, I cannot tell you what these books are about, but I think they'll all be fun. First up, I've got Like Mother Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight. I have read one other book by this author, and I gave it 5 stars at the time that I read it, so that's awesome. I read A Good Marriage by her, and it was really fun. It was like a lawyer thriller, which I don't read a ton of, especially not anymore, but I do have high hopes for this one just based off that one. It was very fun, very fast-paced, very plot twisty, and had a good time with that one when I read it a couple years ago. So this is the first one that I have on my list to read for this vlog. I've also got Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert. I've been seeing this one all around social media since its release. I think it's like a haunted house thriller. The sole survivor of a serial killer might hold the key to stopping a new spree of murders in this propulsive horror thriller in the vein of The Black Phone and The Whisper Man. No idea what it's about other than that, but I have been seeing good things about this one, and I'm hoping it's very creepy. And then finally, I have a thriller that I think got super popular and has pretty good ratings, and that one is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. I do like going into my thrillers blind overall, so I'm not gonna skim the synopsis to give y'all synopses before I start reading them, but when I do my first update for each book, I will go ahead and share a synopsis just based off what I've gotten from the beginning of the book, and I'll share my current thoughts on them as well. But because I do like to go into my books not knowing a ton, I think that makes for a better reading experience for me with little to no expectations on what to expect. I have a better time with the books. Again, I don't like to go into my books knowing too much, so that's how I tend to do my reading vlogs, and I will give hopefully very in-depth synopses when I get to these ones. But I think my plan is to start with, I have no idea what I want to start with, honestly. I think I'm going to start with Sleep Tight. For some reason, this is the one that has been calling my name the most out of these 3 books, and I have the audiobook for this one, I know, and plus I've been seeing it around the most recently, so we're going to start with the hyped book on my list for this vlog. But I will hop back in here when I get to 50%. I do plan to prioritize these books over the next 2 weeks or so should be able to hop back in here for my first update pretty quickly, because this will be my next read once I finish my current read, just that I'm reading on NetGalley. So when I hop back in here, I will be at 50% of the way through the book. I'll give a synopsis and my current thoughts on it, and we'll chat all about this one. But for right now, hopefully there will be some b-roll, some fun reading clips, some fun fall activity clips. I don't know what I've got going on the next 2 weeks. I'm just here existing. So I'll hop back in here in a couple days, hopefully, with my very first update for Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert.
Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over.
I'm very happy to report that I'm officially halfway through my first book, which is Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert. I've been seeing this book around everywhere this week, and I'm excited to like be able to say that I'm also kind of joining in on the hype, because I do feel like this book has gained some social media popularity. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I have been a little bit confused on some of the characters and the involvement of people in this whole case, because there's a lot going on, but I do really like it so far. This, I want to say it's almost more of a horror novel than a thriller novel, but I think it is marketed as a thriller. But you've got like this very creepy house setting going on in the past. But this is a book about a detective named Tessa, I think. Tess, not Tessa. Her name is Tess, and she is a detective and a mother to a daughter who is in 4th grade. Her daughter is kidnapped one day on the way into school, and nobody has any idea how it could have happened. But since that kidnapping, Tess and her kind of separated husband, they have been following these clues, trying to find her daughter and another boy who was taken as well. And while they're trying to find this man who kidnapped her daughter, who also has just killed her parents, fun fact, we're kind of exploring the past and how all of these things tie together. So Tess, who is a detective, her father was also a detective who brought down a very big serial killer a couple decades before this man was found with tens of bodies in his house, and there was only one boy who made it out alive. And the man was put on death row, the serial killer is put on death row, and the night after he has been sentenced to his death officially and the death has happened to the serial killer, the detective who put him behind bars is found dead. So they're trying to figure out if it's like a copycat killer or if something else is going on, and how all of these things are tied together. So far, I'm very intrigued by the story. We're following mostly Tessa's POV, but we also have some POVs from other characters as well. A couple of them, I'm not quite sure how they play into the story, but so far I am very much enjoying it. I think books that have like houses of horror, which is what the murder house in this book is dubbed, can be really fascinating, very creepy and very eerie. But I'm very curious to know more about the past portion of this book and the serial killer, and how what he did all those decades ago plays a role in the present time, because it seems like things are being connected. But the only suspect that they currently have right now is a man who is behind bars for other reasons in this very, what's the word that I want to use, like this very inappropriately used mental hospital where the patients are treated more like prisoners. And so this is the only person who's in here that they think could be involved somehow, because he's the boy who was left alive after all those serial killings all these years ago. He is the one who is found in the House of Horrors, and they don't see how he can't be connected with everything that's happening in the present time, but also he's been locked away, so there's no physically possible way that he could be. But somehow Tess and her husband think that something is going on, and that maybe he knows more than he's letting on, and so they're on the search for their daughter while also trying to figure out who's behind the murders and how it connects to the past. I've already said all that, but so far it is super interesting. I am very intrigued. I plan to binge some more of this book tonight. It has been a quicker read than I thought it might be. Like, I feel like I'm getting through the chapters pretty quickly because there are a lot of pretty short ones in the book. I think I'm already on chapter 27 and I'm only 150-ish pages into the book. So a very quick read so far. I'm excited to keep going with it and see what happens, but so far been as fun as a book about serial killers can be, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. But I'll hop back in here hopefully in a couple of days with my final update for this book. I also just got my November book of the month box in the mail, so I'm gonna go open that, and I'm very excited to check out what books I got. I will hopefully show you all in the next clip, and yeah, I will see you all later. It has been so dreary here in Nashville the last couple of days, which has honestly, for me personally, made for the perfect reading weather. There's just something about reading when it's raining outside in your cozy chair with a blanket and a nice pair of sweatpants that just really makes me happy. I love fall. I think Nashville's finally getting fall. I was a little bit nervous that we'd skip right from summer to winter because that's kind of what happened last year, but it's super gray outside right now and I'm honestly loving it. That means that because the reading aesthetic has just been perfect, I have just been very much in the mood to read so much this week, and I did end up finishing Sleep Tight this morning when I got to work. I always get to spend like 45 minutes either prepping my classroom or doing homework because the kids don't show up for a while after I get there, and so I was able to finish Sleep Tight, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. We ended up following a lot of different perspectives. We follow Tess, who is our main character, the main detective. We also follow her husband, Justin, and her best friend, who's also a detective, Danny. We follow a couple of other mysterious kind of POVs, kind of like on the bad side of things. And this is very much a book about a cult. And I am so fascinated by cults. I really enjoyed Lisa Jewell's The Family Upstairs. That very much had cult vibes. And I am always very intrigued by thrillers that include those elements, those types of characters, those things. And so I actually was super intrigued by that in this book and was very fascinated. This is definitely one of the darker cult books I've read, but I ended up really liking it. I just love thrillers. I love dark books, and this one definitely checked those boxes. You definitely get those eerie house vibes as well with this one, and just a lot of like not really knowing what's going on until the very end and all these questions are answered, and it was super fascinating. There's so many things that go on in this book, from kidnappings to murders to people running around in animal masks and sacrifices and mental institutions for prisoners, and all of these things just tied together to make a really fun book. Was I confused at times? Yes, especially with some of the cult stuff and the perspectives of the bad people, but overall I thought that this was a super fun read. Definitely makes me want to check out the author's other book, which I think is called Mr. Lullaby or something like that. I'll have a picture up here on the screen, but this one is really fun, so I might check that one out at some point just to see if it's similar vibes, super fun, super dark, but I really enjoyed this one. I think that since I checked this one off my list, let me see what challenges it accomplished for me, or like helped accomplish for me on the Book of the Month app. I'll like show you on my screen. So every year, I'll just screenshot and put a picture up here. They do like a reading challenge, and if you complete the reading challenge, you win a prize. So Sleep Tight, I think, only got me another requirement done for my book boss badge. I'm now at 7 out of 15 books read this year from Book of the Month because of Sleep Tights, which is fine, not great, but whatever. But it did get me another little notch in my belt there. I'm determined to get my 4 badges by the end of this month so I can get the hat in December. Is it possible? No idea, but we're gonna try. So right now I'm at 7 out of 15 Book of the Month books read. I have already gotten 1 badge this year, which I got last week when I finished Phantasma, but that is for the Write-Up Wizard, which is a badge you get when you write reviews for the books that you read. So my goal is to also get the Page Pusher badge. So I need 2 more books left for that one, and then also the Genre Genie, I think, is the other one I'm gonna go for. So we'll see if I get there, but I'm determined to do it. But anyway, now that this one is done, I'm going to go ahead and I think start First July Wins probably first thing next week. I think my goal for this weekend is to film a weekend reading vlog, since the only plans I have for this weekend are babysitting for a couple of hours. Otherwise, I've got nothing going on, so I want to kind of maybe film a dedicated reading vlog just for the weekend. But after the weekend is over, it is Thursday, November 7th right now, I plan to start First July Wins. Should be another fun one. I've been seeing mixed reviews about this book recently, but this is a thriller about a girl named Evie, or Evie, and once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. So it's about this girl, I guess, who changes her identities because of her job, whatever job she has. And her current mark, his name is Ryan. And maybe things don't go as planned, but I don't know what to expect with this one, but I'm excited to get to it. I think the cover is super eerie. I love a good building on a cover, especially when there's like silhouettes in the windows or the doors, so I am expecting to have a fun time with this, but we'll see what ends up happening. But anyway, I'll start this one early next week probably, and then I'll hop in here with my first update and a better synopsis for y'all when I get to that point.
You were the one for me, that's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas, oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me, that's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the storm.
In my last clip, I definitely said that I was gonna take a pause on Book of the Month books for this weekend to do another reading vlog, just like a weekend reading / productivity vlog, but I've changed my mind, so I'm gonna hop on here to share that I actually ended up reading the first half of First Lie Wins last night, and definitely did not want to stop reading it, but I forced myself to not get too much further before hopping on here for my update. So it's actually only been like 2 days since I last talked to y'all. I'm actually going to try to finish my Book of the Month vlog this weekend. Let's see if I can be a little bit ambitious. I do just have to babysit tonight, but otherwise no plans, no schoolwork, nothing going on. So I want to get a bunch of reading in and ideally finish up this vlog. First Lie Wins, so far very intriguing, very slow to start for me, but now I'm definitely curious to see how all the pieces end up fitting together, because this book is about a woman who has been changing her identity for her job for over a decade now. She works for this man who's very mysterious. He goes by Mr. Smith. That's definitely not what his real name is. We have no idea what he looks like or what his voice actually sounds like, because he uses voice disguisers when he talks to Evie. That is her current persona, but she has been changing her identity for years as she goes on these jobs that Mr. Smith gives her. Her current one leads her to Ryan, and he's a pretty shady guy. He's a financial planner, but he also has a side business that he only runs on Thursdays, or he only like goes to on Thursdays. It's pretty shady. Evie has officially found out about it. He like traffics things to be sold on the black market. Pretty dark stuff. But she is being set up and is being accused of playing a role in the death of one of her past marks. In that past mark, her mission did not go to plan. So now she's being set up because she is straying, I guess, from what Mr. Smith wants from her. And she knows that Ryan's doing bad things, and I think Ryan knows that she's not exactly who she says she is. But right now they are on their way to Georgia, where she is supposed to be questioned by the police for her role in the death of somebody from her past job under another identity. And so it's just very eerie, very mysterious. I'm not quite sure what's going to end up happening with this one, because both Evie and Ryan are not honest about themselves to each other, and I'm very curious to know what ends up happening. So far pretty good. Not a 5-star thriller for me so far, I don't think. I was not super into it at the beginning. It did take me a while to get like really hooked onto the storyline, and I had to like keep pausing and rewinding and things like that to figure out what was just being said. But now that I'm into it, I'm very much enjoying it. It's a pretty quick read. The audiobook for this one is only like 9.5 hours long, whereas the one for Sleep Tight, I think it was like 11.5 hours long, so it feels longer. First Lie Wins does, but it's actually shorter, and I do think I'll be able to finish it up within like the next 2 or 3 hours. I'm about to hop onto life sprints. I'm hosting some this morning for the, why can I not think of what the of what the name is, the Escape Readathon. Escape for 24 Hours. Gosh, that's my own readathon and I forgot what it was called. Escape for 24 Hours readathon is this weekend, so I'm hosting sprints for that while just kind of focusing on my book of the month books, because I'd love to binge them this weekend, which would mean finishing up First Light Wins and then also reading Like Mother Like Daughter, which I have over there, and I will hopefully be getting to it around noon today. It's only 8:30 a.m. and so far feeling pretty good about how this weekend is going to go reading wise. So I am enjoying this more than when I first started it, but I'll hop back in here with my final update for it and we'll chat about how I ended up feeling. So far, Sleep Tight was more intriguing to me, very much a darker and eerier book, especially because of all the cult stuff. This one is still pretty interesting, but not enjoying it quite as much, but I am liking it more now, of course, that I'm into the book. So we'll see how it ends up being, but I'll hop back in here later today, probably with my next update. Okay, y'all, it has been 2.5 hours-ish, 3 hours since my last update, and I'm here. I feel like this camera is not straight on the thing right now. Oh well, it's fine. 3 hours post my last update, and I've officially finished First Light Wins by Ashley Elston, and I think I'm giving this book 3 stars. It did end up being very fun, but I feel like there was a lot of confusion for me personally regarding the past timeline that we follow, and of course all the secrets are revealed at the very end, but nothing was super shocking to me. I didn't really gasp or freak out over plot twists like I sometimes do. I kind of just accepted what was being told and moved on and finished the book, and didn't really feel anything like super surprising at the end of it. This is a very fun thriller about people who are betraying each other and pitting people against other people, and there's a very big web of lies and secrets and different identities that we're following, and there's just a lot of moving parts in this book. I think it was pretty well crafted for what it was, especially as an adult debut thriller by the author. I think it's an adult debut, yes. But I just wasn't super surprised by anything in the end. I just kind of rolled with the story, and again, it took me a little bit to get into, and overall it was fun, also kind of slow, and it took a long time to see how all of these pieces started to fit together, and I feel like I could have used maybe some more hints of that earlier on in the book, if that makes sense, without spoiling anything. But it was interesting enough. It did hold my attention once I got into the book. So we're following Evie throughout her present day life, while also following her past jobs that she's done. There's 3 or 4 very specific ones that we follow, and these several specific ones all tie into what she's doing in the present time and how she is trying to accomplish this job slash complete the secret task that she is on to figure out who her boss is, because things just have not been lining up recently. And so we're following so many different timelines. It's like 4 or 5 really, because we're jumping back from the present time to 10 years ago, to 6 years ago, to 4 years ago, to 4 months ago, and it's just kind of a lot to keep track of. I almost could have used like a timeline chart to be able to remember everything that was going on, because there's just a lot of time that passes in this book and a lot of time that we see play out on the page. But I did like it. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I've officially read 8 book of the month books so far this year, which is better than where I was at the beginning of this week. So that's good, because I've now read 2 book of the month books just this week alone. So that's awesome. But overall, fine. I think it makes for a very intriguing debut from the author. I'm excited to see what she might end up writing next, if she chooses to keep writing adult thrillers because this was pretty fun overall. Just not one of my favorite thrillers that I've ever read, but that's okay. 3 stars this one, and I would definitely check out more from this author. It's only 11:45 here now that I've been rambling for a couple of minutes, 11:42 technically, and I'm officially going to be starting my last book for this vlog, which is Like Mother, Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight. I've actually read 2 books by this author. I've read, let me see, I've read The Perfect Marriage or A Good Marriage. Let's look them up. I've read Where They Found Her, and I've also read A Good Marriage. A Good Marriage I read first, and then I read Where They Found Her for a readathon, I think, back in like 2021 maybe. Don't remember a ton about either book except for the fact that A Good Marriage was a Book of the Month pick several years ago, and that's like a lawyer thriller, which I don't read a ton of, but I ended up really liking that one and thought there was some very fun plot twists in that book. That's all I remember. I don't remember any actual details, but I do remember being very shocked by the ending. So that gives me high hopes for this one as well. I don't know what this one is about, but from what I am reading right now, this is about Cleo, who is a student at NYU and is going to her childhood home to find that her mother is missing while food burns in the oven and there's no sign of her mother. Then Cleo discovers her mom's bloody shoe under the sofa. Something terrible has happened. And that's all I'll say about that one for right now, because I like to go into my thrillers blind, and there's a lot going on this inside flap, and I don't want to spoil anything for myself. I want to just experience the story, but this will be my next read that I'll be starting in just a couple of minutes once I wrap up this clip. But I think I should be able to finish this one today. I do have the audio for it as well, just because I engage with my books so much better through audio, and it is 10 hours and 43 minutes long. So I should be able to finish it in like less than 6 hours of reading time if I listen to it at around 2 times speed. So I'll probably finish it up either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, depending on how much time I end up having today to read. I should be totally good because I still have 6 hours until I need to get ready to go babysit, and then I'll have several hours to read while I'm there after the kids go to bed, but we'll see. This does not look like a super long book though. It's only 302 pages, so like it's not that long at all. So we'll see how it ends up shaping up to be, but that's a pretty short thriller, I would say, compared to the other 2 that I've read for this vlog so far. So I have high hopes for this one personally, just because I have read from the author before. We'll see how it ends up shaking out, but I'll hop back in here hopefully in a couple hours with my first update for it, and we'll see what's going on in this one. There's like the silhouettes on the cover, and it looks like there's 2 people there, and I can't actually tell, but it's on the back too, and it's kind of eerie. So I'm very curious to see what ends up happening in this one, but I'll hop back in here in a couple hours with my first update for it, and we will chat more then. So almost immediately after my last vlog update yesterday, I lost all my motivation to make good progress in Like Mother, Like Daughter. But I did end up reading a big chunk of it last night while I was babysitting, and then this morning as I was getting ready, and I'm 50% of the way through it now. So far, super intriguing. Like all my books that I read, it has taken me a little bit of time to place my feet into the story, but I'm definitely intrigued now. This kind of lines up with the other thriller, one of the other thrillers that I've read by this author, where you're very much focused on law stuff. Katrina, who is the mother, is a lawyer. She has gone missing, and Cleo is determined to find out what happened to her mother. There's no evidence that she's dead, just evidence that she's missing from some blood on the floor of their house, and then also a bloody shoe, and nobody has any idea what is going on. Her dad is pretty suspicious, Cleo's dad, and he's had an affair and somehow has ended up with a bunch of money that Cleo doesn't understand how he got, because Katrina, who is the mother, told their dad that she wouldn't give him millions of dollars that he was asking for from an inheritance account that she has had since she was a teenager. And so he's pretty suspicious, but there's also some trial or case stuff that she's been working on that also seems pretty shady. Something's dangerous about this firm that she works at, and Cleo has somebody telling her that she needs to not trust anybody. And so it's very, very interesting to be following Cleo's perspective as the daughter in the present time after her mother has gone missing, but also Katrina's time in the past, like just a couple of days before she went missing, and the things that have been escalating in her own life that may or may not be playing a role in what ends up happening to her. I have no idea if she's alive or dead, honestly. Nobody else knows either. I want to say that she's still alive, but I'm really not sure what to expect from this book and the plot twists it might take. But I'm really, really enjoying this one so far, especially now that I'm 50% of the way through it. It's super fascinating, very captivating, very hooking, and I'm excited to keep going with it. I should be able to finish this one up today. We will be hanging out for a little bit. We're gonna make some lunch, and then I'm going home again to set up for Christmas with the roommates, and I'm very excited about that. We're gonna get our Christmas tree set up and everything. It's gonna be so fun. But otherwise, I do plan to get through the rest of like Mother Like Daughter today. Might not be updating y'all until tomorrow, but I feel like this book is super bingeable, and I'm hoping to wrap it up this evening. So that's the plan, but I wanted to hop in here with my first updates. Very much enjoying it so far. I think out of all of the thrillers that I've read for this vlog, Sleep Tight and First Lie Wins, I might honestly be enjoying this one the most, but we'll see what ends up happening. I did love the cult stuff in Sleep Tight, and First Lie Wins ended up being fun too. So we'll see how this book takes a turn and if the plot twist is good, but I have high hopes for it. I did give A Good Marriage by this author 5 stars, so the hopes are there, but we'll see what ends up happening. I ended up finishing Like Mother Like Daughter yesterday evening. It was pretty late, so more like last night. And I'm giving this one 3 stars, I think. There was a big chunk of the book, or a big element of the book, that I felt like really didn't need to be included. And so when the book kind of closed on that, I was like, what was the point of this being included? Because yes, it tied in a little bit, but not enough to be an effective part of the story, in my opinion. It didn't add to the suspense of anything, and I really felt like there was a piece that wasn't completely tied together, especially when it came to Katrina's, the mom, her assistant. And so I was just kind of like meh about the ending. But I did like this one. Not my favorite book by the author, unfortunately. There was a pretty big plot twist that I was not expecting, and that's what I remember from the other book that I've read by this author, or one of the other books that I've read by this author. So I did really like that. I was pacing my room, I think, while listening to it, because I was just like, whoa, did not expect that to happen. So I did like that. Definitely gross and definitely creepy, but also it was a really good plot twist, and I honestly did not see it coming, so really liked that. So 3 stars to this one overall. Not my favorite by the author, but still enjoyable nonetheless. Which wraps up this reading vlog, because I read my 3 book of the month books in almost exactly a week, which is pretty exciting, from Monday to Monday, which I am very happy about. 3 books that I got checked off my book of the month TBR, and I feel very good about them. To give a quick recap, I read Sleep Tight. Maybe. I read Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert, gave it 4 stars. All the cult vibes, all the serial killing vibes, very creepy, very mysterious, super eerie. Really enjoyed this one. And then I read First Lie Wins, which is about different identities and working for shady bosses to make money and having marks and trying to take them out or down or do whatever your boss wants you to do, and the consequences that come with that sometimes. 3 stars to this one. It was pretty enjoyable. And then finally, Like Mother Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight, which I also gave 3 stars. Goes back and forth between the POVs of a mother and a daughter and how their lives are tangled up into a very dangerous web. So overall, such a fun time. I love Book of the Month books. I do feel like I've been enjoying their selections more recently compared to years past, so I'm really liking that. I will keep my subscription with them for now, as I have been really enjoying the books. But that's 3 more books checked off my Book of the Month bookshelf, which means that I'm officially at, I'll put a picture of it on the screen, 9 out of 15 Book of the Month books read. So I think my last 6, I'm going to try to read books that are 400 plus pages, different genres than thrillers or debuts. I have several that will give me points toward those badges, so hopefully I can complete 2 more badges before the end of this month. We'll see, but that's my goal. But if you have a Book of the Month subscription or have read any books that Book of the Month has done or have read any of these books, feel free to comment down below and let me know. I love talking about all the books, especially if they're thrillers. That's all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.